There you go. Silent. Silent. I want silence.
We're live, but don't tell anyone.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no, don't tell anyone. Why would you pick up the phone or text somebody and say, "Turn on Michael Knight, New York, Vinnie"? Why would you do that? Well,
We'll
why
be
would you?
there later today if you want to wait a little while. That's okay with us.
Why would you want to say that some sensible people talking some sensible stuff is on your internet uh, after a weekend like we had? I mean, think about it. We had just about everything this weekend. On Friday, you had a war. On Saturday, you had a Seahawks win in a crazy game, and then on Sunday, you had an even crazier game.
Sunday night game was pretty crazy with the Stillers.
That was amazing. That was freaking amazing. That was a game. It becomes an instant classic because of the last quarter. Now they'll show that whole game on the NFL Network, and they'll want you to sit for the whole game. But really, all you need to see in that game is the last quarter.
And even then, you can see the last half of the quarter.
Yeah, and even then, you still go with the last half of the quarter, and they should throw in for good measure the priest blessing the end zone. That to me, that's the best part of the whole thing. When I saw that,
it's a good thing he wasn't keeping tropical fish. Those fish wouldn't have lasted very long. It's a different kind of holy water. It's not as holy as you think.
If you live there, you know how deeply intertwined the Steelers are with the Catholic Church. I mean, it's the Rooneys are they're a big part of the Irish Church. It's a very Catholic city. There are a lot of people who will look at that and say that that's divine intervention.
It took forever to get the water right, but they finally got the mixture perfect.
Well, it takes a while. You don't just go to the tap and fill it. You gotta go. You gotta take it someplace. You gotta bless it in a certain. There's a church in Pittsburgh, and it's up on one of the hills, one of the highest hills. And oh man, I have to remember the name of the church, but it they carry in this church several thousand icons, which are things like a piece of hair of one of the apostles, and just all these religious icons that are in this church, and people go to this church from all over.
Apostle clippings.
Yeah, apostle clippings. They got it in this church. I'm gonna look it up now to see what church it is, but I think you have to take the holy water there and get it especially blessed. Get a little apostle clippings in it, so that it really casts. You're not just getting holy water from the tap in Pittsburgh. You're getting this residue of thousands of years of the church.
What about the idea that holy water is just water that's been holied by somebody? Can any priest do it, or do you need a bishop?
No, any priest can do it. And listen, I know people, we're taught when we're young that's Jesus' blessing. It's God's blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So you believe what you want to believe.
Well, you'll notice in the replay of the priest putting the water in the end zone, he was putting it in the right place where it would go wide right.
Yeah, well, that's
the
insanity of it.
Yeah.
That's the insanity of the whole thing. Is that's the end zone. It happened.
You think that priest knew
in the other end zone? It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have been a story.
Knew that he was on video? Do you think he knew?
Well, listen. You got to suppose in life today that if you're at a place like Akron Shore Stadium, that you're on video. there's nothing in life today that you can't assume that you're on video. And pretty soon it'll be you can't assume that you're on video and that somebody with AI will fuck with it.
And that it's live now to the known world.
So, I mean, think what you want, believe what you want. It's a matter of faith. Let's face it, it's all faith. It's all what you believe. Some people believe it, some people don't.
The idea that faith stands in the way of who's going to win the game is believable this morning because of the way that game went down. The way the final minutes were, you thought you knew what was going to happen. Then there were 55 seconds left, and then you realized you didn't know what was going to happen. And damn if the Ravens didn't succeed on the kick to them. The Steelers scored a touchdown. They had a kick, 55 seconds left, and the run back on the kick takes them to the 40-yard line. That was when you knew you were in terrible trouble. That's when you saw the look on Rodgers' face change.
Well, yeah, he looked like what a way to go for my last game.
Okay.
And it went from that to elate. Well, I'm not going to say elation because this dude doesn't look like he gets elated over anything. I mean, I don't know. I don't know his personal life. And we all know from being around a long time that you don't know what people's personal lives are. But he doesn't look like a very happy guy. Even with winning that, and even with that game turning the way it did, he just doesn't look like a happy guy.
It's a strange team with his energy and right there in the center of it.
Well, he hasn't had a great year. He hasn't had a year that he's used to. He's not in the MVP conversations or anything like that. He's past his prime. He gets it done. He gets it done on guile and on the ability to know defenses and much more than his arm.
And thanks to the Vikings for giving Thielen a chance to play football this year. They didn't want him. I don't know why. He's a good wide receiver.
Well,
turned into Rodgers' favorite target.
Yeah, and listen, Mike Tomlin knows how to coach up a team.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this for years that people in Pittsburgh always want to fire this guy, and I'll take him in a flat out minute. Because I just think he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen. He gets people, and maybe his clock management isn't the greatest, and maybe sometimes he calls a wrong play. But crap, man, you want to talk about a locker room full of guys that will buy into whatever you tell them.
That's something that the Steelers have in spades.
He will be that guy. I don't know if that's an old, I don't know what that is. And people this week were complaining in Pittsburgh, well, he hasn't won a playoff game or he hasn't taken them to the Super Bowl. I mean, the last Super Bowl they went to was when I was there in 2012, was it, I think? 2012? Yeah, something like that. 2011, maybe. And
the Steelers want to go to the Super Bowl. They just want to go.
I mean, I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think they have that kind of team. But nobody thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl in 2005. And Roethlisberger came along, and there's teams that have many more weapons than they do. And I know we're talking about the Steelers. We'll get to the Seahawks in a second. But on sheer guile and on sheer ability to make a team believe that they can win, that they can play better than their ability, Steelers got it. You're not going to beat the Steelers in that department. You'll beat them other ways. You'll have better running backs or better. And, the other quick thing with the Steelers, and I don't want to get on to the Seahawks, is that they did it without DK Metcalf.
Yeah, that's not
because
easy.
He was serving the second game of his suspension for being,
being a putz with a guy in the crowd.
Right. Which, again, if you're a professional football player, you just can't hit people, no matter what they say to you. You can get them ejected. You can get some, get them ejected from the ballpark. You get a whole bunch of things bad to them, get them arrested.
And you don't put yourself in a position where you go over to the stands and have a conversation with somebody during a game.
Right. And he let his team down. I mean, he really, it's reasonable to believe that with him in that game, that wouldn't have got to that point.
And no coach or representative of the team went over there and got him away from that guy. They let him wander and let him lose his focus. And
you could maybe make a pretty good point that their attention was on the game, which is where it's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be. You kind of take it for granted that your players aren't going to be an idiot and go over and engage somebody in the stands like that during a game. Now, if it's after the game, I know that the security people watch them as they're going through the tunnel. In the Steelers' case,
right,
they don't go through a tunnel; they go through a stairway.
You go to a place where you have to pick one of the three rivers, right? You have to choose a river, and then
basically. But it's interesting because they don't go into the locker room from the field through a tunnel. They go down a flight of stairs. I guess that was, when they built that stadium in the 90s, I don't think it was built with a lot of money from the city.
Maybe they didn't know what it was going to be used for. Maybe they
the Roonies didn't build a super stadium. They built it on the cheap. You walk up and down. I don't know that there's a lot of escalators in that stadium, if any. And so it was built. It was built with Rooney money, and it was built not up to what stadiums look like today. As a matter of fact, they're trying to get improvements to that stadium that'll, bring it into the 2020s or the 2030s.
You mean a remodel?
Yeah, they want to remodel the stadium. And it's much more like a college stadium than it is a pro stadium. So, I don't know.
It was cold. It was Pittsburgh cold last night. And the rivers were partially frozen, and it was a rude welcome for Baltimore. And Baltimore was completely equal to it. One thing that Scott Van Pelt said last night after the game was that of all the teams in the NFL, when these two play each other, strange things happen.
Yeah,
and you have to admit that the way that game ended, that it was a very strange ending to the game, and broken hearts and broken careers and crushed feelings. All that happened in a matter of seconds.
Well, I will venture to say that that's the best rivalry in the NFL right now. That rivalry. Those two teams legitimately hate each other. Or at least they did when I was there. Now, maybe things have softened up. I don't know. I'm not there, but, from the days of Ray Lewis and those Baltimore Ravens, I know that every time they came to town, when I was in Pittsburgh, it was like the Huskies and the Cougars used to be. It was a hate fest. And if you didn't care about any other game all year on the schedule, you cared about the two games between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. They're two cities that don't like each other. They're two, and part of it goes back to when the Baltimore Ravens used to be the Cleveland Browns. That's how deep the rivalry runs. It's not just because it's Baltimore. It's
we don't like you because you're Ravens, and we didn't like you when you were Browns. We just don't like you.
We don't like your owner. We didn't like the owner of the team, Art Modell. We didn't like you. We don't like and just because you change cities and change colors doesn't mean that we're going to like you. We dislike you. And any Steeler fan worth his salt will not and will never give any quarter to a Baltimore fan. We'll never let up on them. The best weeks that I spent in Pittsburgh, besides the Pirates going to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, was the weeks of Pittsburgh, Baltimore, because the callers were on fire. The town was on fire. The opposing team was, when you got somebody from the opposing team on, I'm trying to think of the guy who said, we're just going to kick their ass. We were interviewing him. He said, we're going to kick their ass. We're going to come to town and we're going to kick the Steelers' ass. And there's nothing, it's no, we respect them as a team and we this and that. And a lot of the rivalry stuff that goes on, it doesn't affect the players. It's another game to them. But the Steelers and the Ravens, for the players, for the coaches, for everybody, is not just another game. It's a chance to prove whether you're 1-16 or 16-1. It's a chance to prove that it's a chance to get some of your aggression out. It's a chance to get, and it was, and I think when I was there, it was really probably some of the peak of that, but I suppose it's now too. Boy, the stuff that people used to send, meals up to the rooms with Joe, to Joe Flacco. He couldn't eat in any restaurant in town. He had to bring his food from Baltimore.
You don't want to eat in town. Hi, it's Joe Flacco. I want to order a pizza. Oh, we'll get you one.
Okay, we'll be right up with it.
I'm glad you called. Yeah, we'll take care of you.
Yeah, we'll take care of you, Mr. Flacco. It was that kind of rivalry. So I suspect that there's a lot of joy in Pittsburgh. I'm sure that there are the 25% of the people that are calling sports talk shows today, if they let them talk. I don't even know if they let them talk. But they're sitting there and telling them that, that Tomlin did this wrong and Tomlin did that wrong and this guy did that wrong and this guy did that wrong. And listen, there's a lot of people in that town that don't like Aaron Rodgers. They don't like his politics. They don't like it. It's interesting. Pittsburgh is strangely like Seattle in many ways, but one of the ways it's like Seattle is that it's a liberal town stuck in the middle of a conservative area.
Yeah.
And so
strange bedfellows.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' act doesn't play so well there. So.
Plus, you don't know if you can rely upon him. He's got that strange fixation with the other world, a world that only he can see and relate to.
Yeah, and listen, coaching staff's got to be careful of him because, nobody forgets what he did with the Jets. Nobody forgets.
He changed the front office and he changed the furniture and the executive suite, but the rest of the team stayed precisely the same.
Yeah. And what about the Seahawks? How about them Seahawks?
They played a great game.
That defense. I mean, they
the 49ers threw a party and didn't bother to show up.
Well, And I guess the question I'll ask you, Michael, is would the 49ers just have a bad day, or were the Seahawks that good?
Well, it was both. It was both with exclamation marks. Seahawks had a great night. Seahawks had a great prep. They had great defense. They had great disruption of the 49ers offense. And the 49ers had, I don't know how many more injuries added to their list of injuries for the season. Their offensive line, the linebackers, the wide receivers. The funny thing about the 49ers, and it's not funny, haha, is that every game this year, it was going to be, well, you got Kittle, but you don't have McCaffrey. You've got McCaffrey, but you don't have your quarterback. You have a line and quarterback, but you don't have an offensive line to this week. And so it was always something that was enough to make the decision impossible. There was no way that you could coach your way into overcoming the injuries that the 49ers had, even though they had important games and they should have won those games and they should have given the Seahawks a better ride than they did. The season has been a nightmare for them because of injuries, and there's nothing they can do to stop them from happening. They just keep coming, and they strike the most important people on the team.
And the Seahawks
were perfectly timed.
To their advantage, to their credit, are a team that has seized on their opportunities. And it was a different game for the Seahawks because, as we've been saying all year, the Seahawks over the last, 6-7 games did nothing in the first quarter. And this time they came out and they scored in the first quarter. And they had both halves of the game.
Scored on the first drive.
Yeah, they played a complete game, which is the first time in many games that you could say that they played a complete game.
And they were prepared. They were their play calling and their coaching and their timing on the sidelines, the control of the team and the way they were prepared to play. It's true the 49ers had some important people missing, but the Seahawks took advantage of every one of those vacancies, as you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the NFL. I mean, people are going to get hurt in the NFL.
Right.
You can't use injuries as an excuse. I mean,
the next man up thing that they talk about in Pittsburgh. Well, it doesn't work in San Francisco. The next man up is just a guy you don't know.
Yeah, or a guy that you signed on Thursday. He
didn't have a bad game. That guy Pleasance. They didn't call his number all night long. He didn't let the problems in. There were other elements of the offensive line that were not equal to the task. And not there to open holes for McCaffrey so that we could have a running game. We didn't have a running game either.
Yeah, there was I forget what the numbers were, but they weren't they were non-existent in the first half.
Yep.
And and listen, not that the Seahawks had great numbers, but they put their foot on the gas in the second half. When it counted.
And they shut down every opportunity that the 49ers tried to make work for them.
And at the end, I'll just, the thing I'll always remember out of that game, just Purdy's thumb just oozing blood, listen, you got to give him and the 49ers credit. They tried to do something. It wasn't like they sulked up and ran home. I mean, they tried to get something going. It's just that the Seahawks defense, which I don't know gets the credit that they should, but boy, they look like a team that's that I'm not going to say unbeatable because there's still things about the Seahawks that you could say that they don't look as good as the Rams, but yet they beat the Rams.
The Rams, the Rams had a couple of terrible games. They didn't play like they did yesterday. Thank God that cat. I have a 26-pound cat that just left the chair so that I can sit down. Now I can have a seat.
That's a nice thing.
He's a Seahawks fan.
Well, he just wants to get in on the action. He says, maybe you gotta, let me get into the show a little bit. He wants to, the cat wants to be a star.
He does.
So,
he doesn't hide it at all.
Well, cats are like that. You know that as well as I do. Cats, go to their own tune. And he's a cat that goes to his own tune.
The game was not really in question. It seemed like the attitude was instilled in the first quarter, and the 49ers never woke up, and the Seahawks never gave up. They just made it impossible.
So
that's what they have to bring to their next game.
Well, congratulations to the Seahawks. Congratulations to the Steelers. And congratulations to all of the teams. And now you have the wild card weekend coming up.
And the 49ers have to play again. So if ignominy and infamy are there, it's what's waiting for them as the light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be just as bad next week as it was this week for the 49ers, because I don't think all their players are able to return. Trent Williams is not going to be back, I don't believe. And if he is, he won't be well. So that'll be a disadvantage. And that takes the guts and the inventiveness out of the running game. And if you don't have McCaffrey, how are you going to beat somebody?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's so key to that offense that it makes it pretty hard. Excuse me. It makes it pretty hard to advance.
We got to play the Eagles next in Philadelphia.
Right, and let's not, they're a 3 seed, but let's not forget that they're the champs, right?
They've had a tough year, but at home, you expect them to have the advantage.
Yeah. I mean, and the 49ers got to, I don't know, are they taking a plane or are they using ambulances to get the team across country?
Asking guys to call relatives in the area. They're just going to stay with friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's, now who knows? But, the interesting thing that I forget, I think Tirico mentioned it yesterday on the broadcast, was that if the 49ers had won that game yesterday, they wouldn't have had to get on a plane the rest of the season.
Nope.
Which I thought was a great, interesting thing. They could have stayed home the rest of the season, and I don't know if that would have been an advantage or a disadvantage, Michael.
It can be a distraction because the team doesn't gel on the road in a playoff environment.
See, I think the opposite. I think that the teams do gel when they're away from home and away from the distractions, and they're all just hanging out with each other, either in a hotel or whatever they're doing. I guess these days they stay in resorts and stuff like that. But I think that when a team is on the road, there's something that happens with them that sometimes counterbalances that home field advantage. And as the teams come together as a unit on the road, just my observation, I thought that happened in 2005 with the Seahawks as they came together. They had a bunch of road games and they came together on the road.
The guys have to all put up with new teams too. The Dallas Texans are in the playoff. The Jacksonville Jaguars are in the playoffs. New teams with spirit and promising young lineups are breaking through. And teams that we assumed were going to be there, like Kansas City, forget about it. They're not going to be there. And there were a number of other groups like the 49ers. We expect them to be there with a real lineup instead of a glued together last minute collection of guys that you don't know, that are not starters. And that's crushing to a team, especially to a guy like Shanahan, who puts together one of the most complicated offenses you got. And if you have bid players, it just makes it impossible to achieve what you have in mind. I feel sorry for them, but at the same time, I was angry with the team because there was this feeling that they weren't ready. They didn't have what it took. And the Seahawks could see that and feel it and sense it and took full advantage of it.
Well, yeah, I think that's very true. It is a good observation. Is that the Seahawks, just as good teams do, as a team that is good, will do that. They will sense the blood, and they'll go after it.
Yep.
That's what that's what football's all about. Same thing with I mean any sport really is about it, where you're competing. Team sport is that you sense the blood, the weakness, and you exploit it. And that's what Mike McDonald and the Seahawks and his coaching staff all did. They knew what was weak. They know the 49ers. You play them enough, you see them enough. If you tune your TV the right way, you can get the San Francisco stations, so you know what's going on down there.
I'm going to leave you for a second, Ben. I got to take care of a thing.
Okay. Yeah. So what you do is you wind up if you're a coaching staff, you have an ability to go up against the to grab their weaknesses, and the Seahawks did that with the 49ers. Seahawks got an awesome team right now. It's hard to go against the Seahawks. I've said this all year. I think, so much depends on Sam Darnold and how he can. I mean, as you saw in that game on Saturday, he found the right play at the right time. And if he can keep from turning over the ball at inopportune times, or keep from turning it over at all, really, from throwing the interception, they've got a pretty good shot at the Super Bowl. I think. I think they got as legitimate a shot at the Super Bowl as any other team. I mean, I don't know. I look at this. I look at the teams that are there, and I just say to myself, is there a legitimate mortal lock for the Super Bowl in the AFC? The NFC, excuse me. Again, I think you'll find that the most likely team to get out of the wild card weekend. I think. Well, the game I'm really interested in seeing in the NFC is the Bears and Packers.
Old school football.
It's just going to be an old school game. It's going to be in Chicago.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be wild. I suspect that people are already outside of Soldier Stadium, Soldier Field, partying and getting ready to host their favorite team, the Green Bay Packers.
That's I don't know what sort of cocktails do you drink in Soldier Field's parking lot? What do they? They just go for beer.
Hot toddies. You bring the hot plate and you plug it into the cigarette lighter and you make hot toddies. You want to be warm when you go in that. You ask the Green Bay, they know how to party in the cold.
You learn or you die.
Yeah. Excuse me. You'll be out there and you'll be having fun. That's the interesting thing about that crowd is they'll be well lubricated.
They will be emotionally involved in the outcome of the game.
Now, in the second wild card game for the NFC is the 49ers versus the Eagles. I don't know. You tell me how they're going to beat them. I'll believe you.
If you can tell me who's going to play, I'll give you an update on who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the 49ers come into this playoff as the least likely to succeed. It's just, I don't see it. Now, it'd be interesting because I guess if the 49ers beat the Eagles, they come here the week after because they'd be the lowest seed, right?
Right. They'll be fifth or sixth seed. I don't know which it is right now.
I think they're the sixth. I don't know what they would be going in. And then you got the Rams and the Jaguars. Can you tell me how you tell the difference between a Jaguar and a Panther?
The Panthers are black. They're Black Panthers.
Okay.
The Jaguars are a full array of spots and tanned fur that keeps them blending in with their background. They're stealthy.
I just wanted to make sure that because I'm not looking at the team names, I'm looking at the logos. And I just want to make sure.
The Panther seems to be a bigger cat than the Jaguar. It seems to be a smaller cat.
Not according to their logos.
Isn't the Panther larger than the Jaguar?
The Panther, well, yeah, but they show. No, the Panther looks to be smaller than the Jaguar in the logo. I'm looking at both logos, and the Panther logo looks like it's. The Panther logo looks like it's because the Panthers are playing the Rams. They show more of the animal than the Jaguars do. The Jaguars show the head. But the head is big. It's a big-headed animal. Where the Panthers have a somewhat meaner-looking.
Well, the Panthers are from Carolina, where they don't have Panthers. They have Florida Panthers in Florida. That's where Jacksonville is. So the Jaguars should be the Panthers, and the Panthers should be something else, the House Cats.
And Utah shouldn't be the Jazz either. Again, how does
no, it should not. It should not be anywhere near Jazz.
You would try to go to a jazz club in Salt Lake City?
You can try.
You can try, but you'll be out all night looking for one. You'll never get to one. So anyway, you got
about Utah Jazz is no improvisation. Just understand that.
Yeah, no, there's no improvisation. You don't have a lot of jazz people in Utah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have some of them, but it's not. Improvisation is not the hallmark of the state. It doesn't say on the license plates the improv state. No, it all works according to a set of rules that were laid down in upstate New York many years ago.
So put on your magic underwear and enjoy the season.
Exactly. No football team in Utah, so they don't really have to worry. Who do they root for in Utah?
The Utes and the
Well, you'd have to, but I'm talking about pro team.
What's that?
No pro team to root.
What's that?
Yeah, I guess maybe. Well,
no,
I guess
no baseball, just basketball
and hockey. They have a hockey team too now. But again, I'll have to ask somebody I know who lives in Utah who they root for. I would think that it would probably be the 49ers, only because the 49ers are up Route 80.
Closer to Seahawk land, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. I'd have to look at mileage, but I would. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'd have to.
Or maybe the Broncos.
Yeah, it could be. See, they have a number of teams. I guess, and, it could be the rare case where there's no one team that they root for. That it's a bunch of people, but that's a place where so many people are from there. It's not. There's a lot of people that move there, and it's become one of the hot cities to move to lately over the past few years. But for the longest time, it was a place that if you lived there, you were from there.
Yep. And so was your families back as far as you could reach.
At least till the 1800s. And so I wonder who they root for. So that's the NFC. You got to think that. I mean, out of all of these teams, I still got to like the Rams to come out of this thing.
Rams had a season like the 49ers and similar to the Seahawks in that they would pick a game with no notice whatsoever and just not be there. They couldn't pass, they couldn't run, they couldn't score, they couldn't kick, they couldn't Pua Nakua couldn't catch. Whatever they did that they did right, they couldn't do. And I see all the Rams games because I get the Rams and the Chargers every weekend here in LA. And the strange thing about the Rams is mid-season, they didn't look like they're going to be here when the season finished. They didn't look like they were going to be able to complete their task. They were going to be lesser than, and also ran. And they caught fire, and they did a good job of it. And they had the talent, and they had the wherewithal, the coaching, the great quarterback, Pua Nakua. You can't win without him, Puka.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be fun to watch. That's the third game for the NFC on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time.
Speaking of the two teams, the Chargers, against all odds, made the list of the wild card.
Yeah, go figure, huh?
Sure didn't look like they were going to beat anybody.
Well, I don't know that they're going to go in and beat New England either, to tell you the truth. New England at home and their newfound love there, the newfound love for the Patriots. You know, the Patriot fans, it's like they had a few years off. It's like
not as many as they expected. They thought it was going to be a slow, steady rebuild, and they came back pretty quick, thanks to the quarterback May.
Yeah, the post Belichick era has not been kind to the Patriots up until this year.
Well, they could have gotten Vrabel there sooner.
Yeah, well, they got him when they got him, and and he's proven to be a pretty damn good coach.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, a quarterback like May makes you a better coach. I mean, let's face it.
It's true, and you're going into these games expecting to win, which is not the way the season started.
Right? How good is a quarterback? I mean, how good of a coach are you if you have a crappy quarterback? That's when you see. That's when you see what the quarterback is like. But I got to grab a little coffee here. My throat's getting dry.
Coffee.
I need my coffee. Let's see. So anyway, be interesting to follow all of that fun along. Did I go away there for a minute?
You did disappear, but you were in coffee land.
Yeah, I just have
that way.
Yeah, we're having a weird internet day here. Yeah, there we go. So,
did you guys have wind? Seattle always has a windstorm after a rainstorm.
It wasn't that bad. It's just, I think this just still residual damage that they haven't gotten to yet. From
one thing I noticed is if you have a highway, don't call it Highway 2. It's Highway 2 in Los Angeles. It's a mess, washed out up on the Angeles Ridge during the flood. There's a Highway 2 in Washington State, and that's in not very good shape either. There's a part of Highway 2 where there is no 2. There's hardly a 1. Lanes just disappearing. So change those numbers, everybody.
They've done a great job at fixing. They could fix. You still have to detour considerable miles around the damage on Highway. But Highway 2, highway I know pretty well. I take it all the time out to Leavenworth, and yeah, it's it shows you how much the infrastructure is fragile in the area.
Water always wins.
Yeah, erosion. You can't stop erosion. I mean, you can only hope to slip some concrete up here and some nets up there, and hope that it doesn't all just fall into the ocean, as it will someday. Getting back to this AFC really quick, you got the Buffalo Bills, who was, I think, everybody's Super Bowl favorite in the AFC beginning of the season.
Just never showed, just never put it together.
Yeah, it just never materialized like it should have for them. And again, they'll be on the road. They're a 6 seed. They'll be on the road, and they will take on the Panthers. No, the Jaguars.
Don't mix me up here. There's no way I know who. Here comes Buffalo. Who they playing? Some team with cats. You mean the Lions? No, not the Lions.
Well, the one thing that you can tell, I guess, is that the Jaguar has a large tongue, whereas the Panther doesn't show any tongue.
A blue tongue.
So, I guess you could keep them think of them in those respects.
If your Jaguar wants to eat at 4 a.m., my advice is feed him.
With a tongue like that, yeah, because he looks like he can grab a foot and just put his tongue around it and not let it go until he's finished.
Yeah. It could be your foot. It could be it could be the gal next door. So warn her too.
Yeah, if you got a Jaguar, you want to keep him in a cage. Although I knew somebody once that had an ocelot as a pet. And that was pretty weird.
I'm sure that's a handful of cat to take care of.
Well, yeah, I just was never sure, and I was a little kid when we used to go over their house, the Watersons.
What was its name?
And when we used to go over the house, I was just never sure of that cat. That cat just had a look in its eye like, I don't know if I like you or not. Well, most of us have the look of, I don't really give a crap about you. But this one had a you might want to just keep looking at me.
He had an inquiring mind.
Yeah, and he had bigger teeth than I'd seen on many other cats.
I'm sure that's the case with most ocelots. Yeah.
And again, I was and a jaw that looked like it had some muscles in it. A regular cat doesn't look like a guy. I mean, I've been bitten by a cat, so I know that they have muscles in the jaw, but they're not. They bite and they let go generally. An ocelot and a jaguar and a panther and those other cats, I'm not sure that they bite and let go.
Or they bite and see, what if I don't let go? Let my inquiring mind take me to the next step. I could just keep biting. I could let go of this biting spot and get a better one in a minute before you can move away. I'm gonna ask Vinnie what he wants.
Anyway, they will go at each other. The Chargers, as you said, New England, and finally the Steelers will host the Texans or the Bulls. I don't know what you should call them.
Yeah, that's Cattlehead. The Cattlehead from Houston.
The Starry Eyes, because they have that Texas star in there. I don't know. It's.
But is that animal a Texan, or is it some sort of a 4-footed land animal?
Well, it's a bull. It's supposed to be a bull, I think. But I don't know why they lost the name the Oilers. I mean, it was a hell of a name. And let's face it, if you had the name Oilers, Donald Trump would have invaded you this weekend.
Taking you to Brooklyn. No charge.
You and your wife. You get a free all expenses one-way trip to the federal courthouse on Cadman Place.
By the way, he pled not guilty this morning.
Well, you didn't think he was going to plead guilty and try to see if he could get let out on his own recognizance.
OR. You said if I came in peacefully that I could I spend the weekend at a fine hotel in Manhattan.
This is my attorney, John La Roquette. I mean, he's going to need Perry Mason to get out of this one.
Well, who is his attorney? He's probably got a public defender.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't pay that much attention to it this morning. I don't know. It's a whole nother thing to that. I mean, if you're any government in this hemisphere, or do you are you confident if you're? I mean, you threaten Greenland, you screw up Canada, you want to launch nuclear weapons into Mexico, and you invade Venezuela.
It would not have been on my list of things to do. Top 10 things to do. Well, we want to invade Venezuela. We're going to get to that soon, but I can't send the army in because it's illegal, so I'll send the CIA.
Yeah, if you're Castro, the Castro that's in charge, I don't know if it's all falling on Raul or if it's the sister that's kind of in charge now or what, but
what's her name? Donna? She drives
Heloise.
She drives a Mustang.
Heloise Castro. As a matter of fact, the most popular column in the Cuban newspaper is hints from Heloise.
She doesn't deal in facts and she doesn't sign it, but she gives little hints periodically through the day about how to conduct your business.
Yeah, stop. Yeah. The thing with the if you rub a little lemon on it, it doesn't work. That's not a good medical system. That'll be our medical system in a few years. I'm sure that Bobby Kennedy will say, hey, rub a little lemon on it.
Get yourself a doctor from Caracas. Hello.
One of the 7 diseases that we've now said don't need a vaccine. Well, if you get it, rub a little lemon on it. Used to be
a team doctor in the NFL. Just says rub dirt on it.
Yeah, just rub a little dirt on it. I'll give you a little lemon. I got some. If it's extremely bad, I have some limes. But we only use the limes in case of emergency because
those are people with executive coverage. You got to have the good coverage.
Yeah, you have to have the A1 coverage for limes, and that's just how it's going to be. Sorry if you don't agree with that, but that's what it is. Get
your own doctor. I got mine in Caracas. Dr. Hackenbush.
Yes. So what are we going to do now? We're going to run Venezuela. So are we going to run them as good as we're running the United States?
Oh, better. They're going to get.
How do you know that?
They're going to, because we have look at the lineup. You got Marco Rubio. You got Hegseth. You got Donald Trump. These guys couldn't call a cab. There's with 3 of them, they couldn't put it together. So I think the good innocent people of Caracas had a bit of fend for themselves. Put aside some canned goods because Donald Trump is going to run your country, and that's not good news. That means that the incompetence will be spread over yet another nation.
I saw. I happened to see a rerun of What's My Line this weekend.
Holy moly.
Bopping around the television looking for something. And the mystery guest was Mr. William Bendix. And he brought to mind that great line of his that he used to use as Chester Riley.
What a revolting development this is.
What a revolting situation this is.
What a revolting development.
Revolting development. Bill Bendix. Now, he was a hell of a guy.
He could play ball.
And
he didn't have a fastball, but he could throw junk.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have a vet. Did he star in just one? Oh no, yeah, no. The other movie I was thinking of is William Frawley, who wound up starring in a couple of baseball movies.
He looked authentic on the bench.
Yeah, Bill looked like a manager.
Yeah.
Bill looked like a old. Managers looked older when we were younger, didn't they?
Well, they had names that made them older, like Salty and Peanuts.
Yeah, yeah, Casey. Oh, yeah, yeah. They had. Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah, it was, I don't know. It always seemed to me, now I don't know. Were people 35 years old when they managed?
No,
When we were young? No,
he
you
had
had
to
to be
be.
like
He had to be decrepit.
70. You had to be 70 to manage.
Yep.
And you had to smoke unfiltered cigarettes to manage.
And you had to look good in a wool suit. Nothing that was tight fitting or tailored.
Wasn't Shotton the last guy to didn't he was the last guy to wear a suit? Managing a team. I know Connie Mack did.
Connie Mack is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and I think Bert Shotton wore a suit when he managed the team.
3-piece?
That's something that they ought to do these days. When they do those retro games, like they ought to make the manager wear a suit.
And a derby.
And a derby. And have nothing organ music. Well, Mike, we're a month away from spring training, or a month in a week.
We're going to find out if the Giants have a team where it's just guys wearing uniforms. I'll let you know when the time comes. I can't tell you now.
I have no idea who the team's going to be for the Mets. I know who the Mariners are going to have as a team, and I know that they lost Polanco, but they traded, which they should have, because he wasn't going to go anywhere, Harry Ford, who was a bright catching prospect, but I don't think that the Mariners are going to need a catcher for a while.
Doesn't appear. Let's hope that the Big Dumper has a good, healthy year.
Well, that's what you got to hope, that he comes back and has even, a quarter of half the year he had the year before. Will keep most people happy.
It's hard to hit 50 home runs 2 years in a row. That's a lot of home runs.
Unless you're Mickey Mantle or, or Roger. Well, I don't know if Roger ever hit 52 in 52 years in a row. But I don't know.
Well, the trouble was, after a while, Mickey Mantle wasn't Mickey Mantle.
Oh yeah, but age catches up with everybody, and injuries catches up with people. That's the amazing thing about Cal is that he was able to do what he did while catching. What did he catch? 150 plus games.
He was tired, but he caught them all.
This is a guy that worked his ass off.
And he never played first base or right field, did he?
I don't think so. No, I don't think he caught every game.
That's where Polanco's going to find a home with the Mets. He's going to play first, I think.
Yeah. Well, he has a lot of experience in playing first. He's played there one time in his career. One game.
Well, it's like second base. It's just got a different number.
Yeah, well, don't even get me started. Because, there's just, you're going to have to see how it turns out. But I'm scratching my head wondering, it's certainly going to be a very different looking Mets team. And, does this guy Stearns know what he's doing? Because you can't listen to the fans in New York. The fans don't know what the hell they're doing. Everybody's got a reason.
But don't they think they're the best informed fans on the planet?
Well, they are. but they're also the most hateful fans on the planet. Nobody will ever be able to do, listen, days after the Mets went to the World Series 2 years ago, people were ripping them apart. They got to. Everybody in New York thinks they know how to manage a team and how to general manage a team. And
remember the two guys we saw at Yankee Stadium, the two kids who were sitting near us, we were in an area where there was a lot of out-of-town press, and they were Yankee fans, and they were drunk as hell, and they were mouthing off to everybody, and sooner by the sixth inning, they hated each other, and one guy cold cocked the other one and knocked him out right there in the stands. They hated us. They wanted they had plans to take revenge on the foreign press, but the end result was all we had to do was leave them alone, and they took care of each other. They eliminated the threat by eliminating each other.
Well,
fascinating to watch that escalate.
Yeah, I mean it's the fans. There are certain cities that the fans are much more fun to watch than the team. And New York is one of them. Pittsburgh is another one. I think San Francisco, in many ways, it's interesting. It depended on where you sat at Candlestick Park.
And also it depended on when they decided to cut the beer.
Yeah. There were people at Candlestick. I mean, there were certain sections in Candlestick Park that you could sit and you'd get an earful. You'd hear, everybody knew what they were doing, but nobody knew what they were doing. 49er fans, if you're down close, you get a different vibe than if you're up top. So it's always nobody. The one thing about those cities, hardly anybody goes to the game just to enjoy the game.
And if you went to a Dodger game at Candlestick, you better get there early if you wanted to buy a beer, because they'll cut you off in the second or third inning. No more. You guys have had enough. We've been counting the cups. Nope, no more.
And probably rightly so.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. They probably waited an inning too long.
I used to love to watch. I don't know if they do this at the whatever they're calling that field this week. Was it AT&T Park these days?
I just like it. 24 Willie Mays Way.
Yeah. 24. But I remember they used to have the old Muni fishbowl buses that used to pull up. They used the old buses for the Candlestick Express that used to take you downtown. And I would remember coming out of Candlestick after a game and watching people get it. 25 people or 30 people in there with Giant stuff on. And maybe 10 people on with Dodgers stuff.
And one guy with the Reds.
And the windows would just be going like this because the people were fighting in the bus.
Frank exchange of views was evident.
Yes, a frank exchange of views in the bus. I always said to myself, my God, you should get combat pay for driving that bus. Always remember seeing that. I always thought that was one of the great sights in sports, man. Is just look at these people, man. They're beating the shit out of each other in the bus. All right, man. Well, we've done enough damage for today, haven't we?
We've done more than enough. I'll see you for a wacky Wednesday. What do you say?
I'll see you for a wacky Wednesday. If the Lord's willing, the creek don't rise until then.
Boy, if you're in Corte Madera, California, the creek has risen. The Corte Madera
Creek. Yes, there's plenty of risen creeks, so be careful and
stay off 101.
Always remember, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you, Vinnie.
Hey, Mikey.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, too, yes. Happy New Year. How do we shut this thing off, man?
I can't shut mine off either.
It's not shutting off like it's supposed to. Oh, there we go. Yeah, now I can. How do you shut it off?